Kind of appropriate We're all good. All right. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Alfred University Bergren Forum. My name is John D'Angelo, and I am a professor of chemistry and the host for the fall 2024 season of the Bergren Forum. This is episode 12. Today is Thursday, November 21st. For those of you attending the forum online here in Western New York, it started out as a beautiful day, even if winter's coming, but now it is cloudy as the storm is finally approaching. But inside Nevins Theater, the Powell Campus Center is warm and cozy, and the coffee and tea are hot and free. Before starting, we have a few announcements. First, next Thursday's forum will be the season finale of the Bergren Forum. Not exactly next Thursday, but 2 weeks from today, since next Thursday is Thanksgiving. You're going to be lonely if you come next week. But 2 weeks from now will be a talk given by Bianca Baraghi. Bianca's talk will be on ephemeral domestics. There are some other events this week to announce. Namely, there is an arts speaker series in this very room later today from 4:30 to 5:30 to be given by Dr. Wendy Gers on eco-critical ceramic histories and pedagogies in the Anthropocene. Also later today at 6 p.m. tomorrow, there will be, later today at 6 p.m. and tomorrow, there will be an informal dance show in the C.D. Smith Theater. There will also be team trivia this Saturday night from 7 to 9 p.m. in the Bookend Lounge of the Herrick Library. Give my friend and the host, Mike Allen, a super hard to pronounce team name for me. If you're willing to assist with Midnight Breakfast on Sunday, December 8th at 10:30 p.m., contact csi@alfred.edu. Finally, the Environmental Studies Speaker Series will be given tomorrow by biologist Dr. Kat Clark on agroforestry practices in tea cultivation. Without further ado, today's forum will be given by Geremy Grant, assistant professor of school psychology at Alfred University and the father of one of the cutest little ones you'll see on campus, right up front, in fact. The title of today's talk is Understanding Racial Battle Fatigue in Black Students. Anyway.
Thank you, Dr. D'Angelo. Can you guys hear me okay in the back? All right, perfect. So like Dr. D'Angelo said, my name is Dr. Geremy Grant. I've been teaching here for a couple of years. This is my third year teaching the school psychology program. And my research focuses on the impact of racism and discrimination on the experiences of Black students. So I want to talk a little bit about the research that I've been working on with someone from Ohio State University. So I like to start these talks by explaining why I focus on this topic. A lot of folks will come to me and say, why are you interested in investigating racism, investigating discrimination? Because it's a heavy topic, it can be very draining, making that focus that you do. And I think for me, it really comes from the fact that our population is rapidly increasing in terms of culturally diverse and linguistic. We see a lot of folks coming from racially and ethnically minoritized backgrounds. A lot of folks who are refugees, immigrants, in addition to those who might have a language that's, not native English. And then also looking at those who are vulnerable. So as our population becomes more and more diverse, I think understanding the experiences of these individuals is so because you're going to come in contact with students, whether it be at our universities, in K-12 settings, wherever we are, that are going to likely be different from us when it comes to their cultural background. And on top of that, if you personally don't care, I always make this joke, governing bodies for those that you probably do, whether it be as a teacher, helping professional, say that you need to embed multiculturalism into your practice. So if you don't want to some random strangers on stage, listen to the governing bodies that are putting forth your ethical guidelines because they're the ones that also can reprimand you if you don't do what you need to do. So just showing you multiple layers of why you should care about it. Now, although these governing bodies have been making this push, particularly since COVID-19 happened, a lot of disproportionate effects have been happening to folks of color in our society. Even though these governing bodies have been making pushes since COVID, we still see some oversights across school administration and teachers and practitioners in clinical settings as well, in terms of how they're working with people. You can see to the left that according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, most hated bias incidents that students bring up as occurring in schools, and that teachers bring up as well, don't get addressed by school leaders. So folks might be trying to advocate for these and principals, superintendents, it's kind of falling on their deaf ears. Educators as well have some challenges having conversations race and discrimination. You can see here out here about implicit racial biases or teachers' intentions on having these race-based discussions. Primarily, I believe their confidence in their ability to feel like they can effectively address racism. So even teachers are reporting it, or administrators are addressing it, and then for some of these educators, they don't have the confidence to address it themselves either. You see a twofold kind of issue there in schools. And then imagine now the student is trying to seek services that might be happening in school. You see here that practitioners, so health professionals, social workers, psychologists, therapists, they often engage in avoiding minimization of cultural issues when it's brought up. So we're thinking about how I'm going to a therapist and saying, I experienced discrimination in school, and how that person might tell me, I'm sure there was discrimination, or was it really as serious as you're making it out to be? That sort of conversation plays out in therapy rooms a lot more frequently than you might. Our students are definitely getting a lot of support. And again, what I'm talking about here can apply not just to K-12 settings, is what I learned in research, but it also can apply to college age and So kind of to pivot, what's one of the main kind of sources of discrimination that kids are reporting in schools, that college students are reporting on their campuses? Microaggressions. Now, by show of hands, this is a judgment free zone. Who here has heard that phrase at some point in the past? Microaggressions. Awesome. Educated group of people. I love that. For those that I've done talks like this before, and some folks have said we've never heard of it, and I know that it's been popularized, I think, in social media and things along those lines as of late. But I think it's important to realize that term has been around for over half a century. You see here that I have someone cited named Pierce, an African American psychiatrist, was the one that coined that phrase, specifically the challenges that African American folks face within American society. And he defined it as subtle and stunning daily issues. So really highlighting for people of color, particularly Black individuals, this racism, discrimination, and microaggressions is something they face every day. The definition you might be more familiar with is the one that's more contemporary for 2020, thinking about slights, indignities, downs, insults, and so forth that are faced by anyone who is marginalized. So over time, this term kind of got broadened. So you can have microaggressions related to someone's gender, sexuality, religious identity, and so forth. But what I'll be talking about today primarily is microaggressions related to racial. Make that clear. One of the main things I want to just point out, just in case if you've ever experienced a microaggression or committed them, usually when someone commits a microaggression, they don't mean and they intend, but usually in italics, because you'll see in the next slide that there are different terms of microaggressions. Some of them subconsciously presented, and then some of them conscious and deliberate. So it's really important for us to kind of understand when someone commits that harm towards us, did they really mean it? Or was it something where they didn't realize what they were saying and maybe they just need some education so that way they don't commit the same behavior again? But nonetheless, whether or not the intention was there, these still cause a lot of harm to individuals. The phrase that I love the most in describing this term is a death by 1,000 cuts. Basically, if someone experiences these microaggressions every day, imagine how that breaks down their self-esteem, well-being, especially if they don't have a chance to heal from it in their daily experiences. So here are just the types of racial microaggressions. See by Sue back in 2007. He describes microaggressions. These would be micro-assaults. Would have more deliberate intention. So we're thinking about if someone or someone uses a racist quote unquote joke in front of me, that would be a more deliberate microaggression. We then have micro-insults. They're more overt. The perpetrator might be using this sort of statement, like one I have here, you speak English really well, and they might not be realizing the subtle message that conveys to you. If someone says that to you with that assumption of, based on what you look like or based on your background, I wasn't assuming that you converse as well as you. And that's that subtle message that's conveying harm to that person. And then micro invalidation, this is where someone might be colorblind when thinking about racism. So I see everyone the same, color doesn't matter. So really invalidating the lived experience that person of color background and what their identity brings to their day-to-day. And there are a few other types of racial microaggressions that have come out over the years. And there's some literature that I can point to if you're interested in reading about this. Okay, so why are these microaggressions so damaging? And there are four different dilemmas that tend to come up when someone is exposed to a microaggression. The first one is pretty interesting, is called a clash of socio-demographic realities. So this idea where the perpetrator, committing the microaggression usually is of a different background than the victim. And because of that different background, the perpetrator has a hard time understanding how what they said can be harmful to that victim. Right, so I'll give you an example of this. In some cases, I've read where folks might say racism doesn't exist in this. Let's say white individuals like that. That is a microaggression, and it's coming from lack of understanding of that person's experience, because racism obviously still exists, just maybe in a different form than what that individual might be thinking. I've heard folks say that in the context of slavery being abolished or segregation has been abolished. Yes, that's true. Racism still plays out in people's lives. It's just difficult to see if you're an experience of that. There's also this idea of invisibility of unintentional bias. So oftentimes the perpetrator uses the microaggression, something that comes up in their subconscious. It's hard for them to realize that they even committed any harm. They have to really sit and think, is what I really said something that could occur? They don't take the time to consciously process that. They may not realize that they caused harm to that individual. And that kind of ties into my third point about perceived mental harm. Victims often will say when they confront a perpetrator, the person will say something like, well, I heard that on media, or I read that on social media. So if that's just common language, how is it actually hurtful to you? And that's another barrier that makes it hard for victims to advocate for themselves when they're subjected to a racial microaggression. The last point I have here on catch-22 of responding is more so on the victims. If the victim now realizes that a microaggression has occurred, they have to then be willing to advocate for themselves and possibly confront that perpetrator or go to an authority member within their institution. And think about, depending on the dynamic, if it's a student who is microaggressed by their professor, their teacher, that student's going to have to think about, if I go to the dean, the provost, is there going to be retaliation from that college professor if I bring up the fact that I have microaggression occur? So that they really get in a tough situation of, do I advocate for myself at the risk of this being retaliation? Just to clarify really quickly, so I know I've been talking about microaggression so far between a perpetrator and a victim. I just want to be clear that microaggressions also don't have to be directly experienced by the victim, and they don't necessarily have to come from a specific individual. It's not just interpersonal experience or so there are that can't exist within your actual environment. So these microaggressions, biases, inequities, and how institutions, public spaces, and general surroundings are structured. So I'll give you guys an example. In some of my cultural diversity classes, we talk a lot about having inclusive curriculum, making sure that kids of color, for example, can see the lived experience, the lessons and the discussions that teachers are leading, and that they can see themselves. The depiction should also be positive. It shouldn't be a negative false depiction of their back. If it is a negative false depiction in the curriculum, that would be an environmental microaggression. Something about the way that institution is structured in terms of their lesson plan that's harming that students. There's also questions that you should be mindful of as well. These are those far-reaching events that really affect the groups of individuals. So I'm thinking about, for example, that shooting that happened in Buffalo in the supermarket a couple of years back, where the individual went and deliberately targeted people of color. Even if you're a student, worried that when the shooting just knowing that it happened is distressing, and also reinforces that idea that my group does not belong within this country or space, and my group is not safe within this space. So bring up these examples because it doesn't necessarily even have to be that someone's targeting your students directly. It could be something in the environment, it could be something in the broader society that's causing them to keep that in mind. What exactly does that draft kind of look like? The concept that I'm really going to talk about today is called equal battle fatigue. This was by a Black scholar named Smith back in 2007. He said, you know, microaggressions are something that folks experience day in, day out, and they don't get a chance to feel it, and it traumatizes them, then they're going to have some very negative results, whether it be physiological, behavioral, or psychological. But he's really trying to capture the idea that micro as a name might imply, and that they can have these really broad and lifelong impacts on students. So what are some of those consequences that he says from this chronic exposure to microaggressions? Well, you can see some of these examples. When he talks about the psychological, we have things like frustration, shock, anger, generalized anxiety, and depression. Physiological, like your body responds to trauma, hypertension, fatigue, and then behaviorally, he talks about things like social and poor school or occupation. So I mean, bring this up because, you know, we're in a educators, staff working with students, at least in my program, we do like mental therapy and things like that. We want to be mindful of if a student is presenting some of these symptoms, we need to think about how it might not just be coming innately from them. It might be something within their lived experience, like dealing with microaggressions. That can be informing the presentation, right? I think it's when first like a trusted adult saying, I can't imagine out, and I can see how that experience can lead to some of the symptoms. Right, so it kind of takes the responsibility of the student and shows that it's something about the institution and society that needs to change to protect them from the racism that they might be dealing Now, to kind of frame this a little bit more, to put it more in perspective, Smith really integrates combat syndrome into his idea of the racial battle. So if any of you are familiar with, you know, soldiers going to war, you know that they're often in very stressful situations that can potentially traumatic, right? And depending on how that soldier reacts to that trauma, that individual can either have prolonged stress or that individual can be more resilient. It plays a big role in how the way that they experience that trauma might be lessened if they have healthier coping strategies or have support. And what Smith says is that racial battle is similar to this idea of combat stress or going to war, like a soldier would, where folks are exposed to this salient racial stress. It could be microaggressions, it could be blatant discrimination, and that sets them up for being at risk for potential trauma. Where does that potential trauma come from? Again, on how we react. If I have healthy coping strategies and also support from trusted individuals, I probably am going to be very resilient. And if I never learned healthy coping strategies, and if I don't have anyone who can support, if it's the latter, if I have support or coping strategy, Smith says that that's when we get that prolonged or post-racial stress, and that's what he's describing as that racial Now, I kind of want to frame the discussion first by talking about microaggressions, talking about now I want to transition into some of the limitations in the current research to then frame the study that I'm talking about. A lot of the work on racism and discrimination, particularly really just focuses on college age and older individuals. That's a good thing for the population working here at the university, because this concept would be applicable to the folks that you with here. But for my research, I'm looking again at some younger children and looking at K-12 settings. So it's a little concerning to me that this research hasn't really been conducted with those folks. Despite that, is a predominant motivator of gender bias in schools. Both the Southern Poverty Law Center, Department of Justice has found that through their research and reports that schools are a common place for hate, particularly that kind of like in my research thing. This sort of thing is happening in K-12 settings. We have the concept that seems pretty thought out at the college age and older. Why are we not researching this for younger kids too, dealing with race as well? That kind of seems like a limitation in research to leave the younger kid out. The other limitation that we kind of, okay, Smith talks a lot about which I talked a little bit about, but he doesn't really talk about other types of discrimination and racism. We know that folks can experience microaggressions, but we also know that folks can experience more blatant crimes as well. I just mentioned that schools were a place of hate crimes may not be microaggressions, it may be violent, right? It may be social exclusion, other things that might be different than what a microaggression is. So as a part of our work, we consider the fact that the type of stress is really important to investigate. So we look at I'll think about some of the other forms of discrimination we looked at. But then we also look at the stress as well, because again, I mentioned that depending on who's admitting it's discrimination towards you, that plays a big role in how well you can advocate for yourself. We found that kids tend to have easier time advocating when it comes to talking to peers, less so power dynamic in terms of addressing teachers, principals. The last limitation that kind of informs the study I'll be talking about is a lot of this research on racism, looking at not just with kids, but also with adults and older populations. Doesn't really think about coping. It doesn't look into, okay, I experienced racism. How did I cope? Did my coping style play a role in long trauma that I experienced? There wasn't a lot of research that focused on it, that allowed you to understand what coping helps people overcome racism and what coping actually leads to that trauma that. So we also look at some of those some of those coping mechanisms to see if it minimizes the trauma that. So what is the study kind of looking at? So the current study on is trying to find what does this fatigue look like in high school students, specifically Black students. So students biracial, they were in college, but they recently graduated. We actually have a report on their high school experience. So back on your high school experience, talk about the experiences you may have had, discrimination, racism, talking about their school climate, all those fatigue that we've been talking about. I'm trying to get a little bit more specific. If students mention to us that they experience discrimination or racism in some form, we wanted to gauge whether or not discrimination. So again, an example of that like violent, or if it was more subtle. So that would be more like the microaggressions we described. We did talk to them about how they coped that discrimination, and then the long-term impact of the experience we were able to get, because these folks were already in college, they were reflecting on a couple of years prior, so they were able to tell us, it's been 2 years or 3 years since high school, and I'm still having concerns or thoughts about what happened back then. Just to kind of set the stage for you in terms of how we decided what was a microaggression, we did not when we interviewed the students. We used these side effects that here, and that side effect was released, and it has a whole list of microaggressions that can apply to folks' racial, ethnic backgrounds. We use these microaggressions that research came up with to basically code and determine if a student says this, what microaggression does it align with in the literature. So we didn't make up a lot of new ones on the recent study to determine what kind of racism the students were experiencing in this way. And I'll give you guys examples of the microaggression. Similarly, like I said, we voted for blatant discrimination as well. We looked for more overt or intentional acts of racial discrimination, and we used the hyperlink study here that gave some different themes and outlining the types of violent and blatant discrimination students often experience in schools. We used that as a guide to determine the codes and themes for our interviews. And then this one I didn't mention before. So we also looked at something called intersectionality. I don't know if you guys have. So the idea about discrimination being tied to race and identity. So we were very mindful of the fact that for many of our students of color that we were interviewing, these students were reporting having racism be something they experienced, and another sort of expression as well. So they were talking about classism, some mentioned religious oppression. So we decided to focus on intersectionality as a type of discrimination as well, thinking about them being not just because of their race, but because of some identity that was minoritized as well. Like I said, we also looked at coping, and to be clear, we looked at general and culturally specific coping. And this is super important to highlight. General coping is usually more westernized in terms of how you think about it. So general coping might be, how can I situation right now by yourself as an individual, which is the very westernized way of managing issues and individual perspective. Where the culturally specific coping, we were more so for how do you in one way we do that is build a community or finding ways to authentically express back. So we weren't just for those more traditional coping strategies that maybe a mental health therapist might teach students. We were also thinking about how students use their culture to overcome racism and discrimination. And again, the themes that we came with were based on other themes that were in the literature, so that way we didn't have to create because when you start creating, you run the risk of having your own bias and interpreting. We wanted to make sure we had some guidelines that we're following, and these previous studies were the only place where we didn't have guidelines is when we were trying to think about the racism that students were thinking about. And this goes back to the fact that these were people reflecting on high school. And like I said, most of the research was really just done with college-age students and adults. So we weren't sure in discussion on racial battle fatigue would apply to childhood experiences or adulthood experiences. So the racial battle codes that we'll be talking about with you all, those were more so about and we met as a group to develop a consensus to make sure we were all judging to make sure that our individual biases were impacting our All right, so what have we found so far? So 12 participants, 70% of them qualitatively noted discrimination. So in their 12 of the participants noted some form of discrimination, whether it be microaggression, blatant discrimination, or something intersectional. 16% of our participants, 94% of them, went to a school where the majority of staff didn't align identity. Now keep that in mind because there are examples about remote states that students who hesitant to go to school personnel discrimination or racism they face. And I want you to keep that context in mind. Students who are being educated by and some of that possible cultural mistrust or hesitancy. And then 5 of the participants went to a school. Most of the peers didn't apply with our identity. So when I talk about some of the peer discrimination, keep that context in mind. Okay. So just to give you a lay of the land, who are the biggest perpetrators of discrimination in the research, school personnel, 19 instances of discrimination. Now, when you look at the numbers, you might say, wait a minute, why are these numbers so high given the amount of participants? These participants in cases indicated of discrimination that they experienced during the research. So some interviewers or interviewees reported more than one instance, but the frequency count is so. But school personnel, about 19 instances, peers, 16 instances. And then we also looked at more broad level discrimination. So school level, we'll be thinking about like school-based policies that might, discriminate against the students' experiences. And then societal students were saying outside of school, I was experiencing some sort of discrimination. There was a girl that I remember pretty strongly who was talking about she left her backpack at the store because she was worried about being filed. That would be an example of that societal kind of oppression, discrimination that I'm talking about. But the main point I want to highlight here is first and foremost, if you guys are aware of some of the work that we're told to do as practitioners, bias, right? And I think a lot of organizations have done a good job of targeting us to do that work. How often do we in our community encourage our own students to their own probably not as often as we could, I would imagine. Looking at that second bar, peers are a huge source of discrimination in students in schools. So just like we're doing that, we need to get our students to make sure that they're these sources of harm to their peers. Right, so what were the more common types of discrimination that students were reporting? Microaggression. But blatant discrimination also was quite frequent. So we have the subtle jabs at someone's identity and more overt harm as well. And then there were some examples of intersectionality, folks feeling targeted based on race and based on another identity dimension. Let me give you guys an example to bring this to light. So this is an example of microaggression that we noted. So one student didn't have their father in it. So this is someone talking about something they witnessed in school. So the student had to share his story to people who don't even go to the school, but how his father wasn't in his life. But it was the fact that the school staff told him, like, share the story of how your father isn't in your life. So it was basically showing stereotype of why people don't have young girl who was talking about the fact that her private school had donors come to campus. This particular student was asked to talk about his experience, father figure in his life. That's a very, close vested thing to have to talk about a complete stranger who you may not know. So this was a microaggression that I highlighted just to give you some examples of what people have to face in their schooling experience. What about more blatant discrimination? So again, we saw a lot of exclusion. So this is Black students speaking about their white peers. Every time we try to sit down with someone, they just get up. So talking about they would go to lunch in the cafeteria. If they go down at a table, their white peers get up and leave. There were some students in the study that said folks would verbally indicate why they were leaving. Here that they didn't stay with those students. In this case, the student though still understood in hidden language message that we do not want to be in the same space with him. So we coded this blatant, obvious what the intent is here. And then this is an example of intersectionality. I'll play out time, racism, and another identity. This is specifically SES, economic status is the other identity. I went to a primarily all-white school. My family had money. Just didn't really go the way. But my friends were always trying to outdo me because they don't be a Black person with wealth. So the student felt as if like they couldn't even fully express their own status in the space they were in because of how many people might be them. Obviously, showing So those are some examples of the discrimination that students face. So now you might be wondering how to kind of cope with all that discrimination they face. Predominantly, that help students use avoidance strategies to overcome that discrimination. Some students did try to use more direct strategies. Some students did actually try to confront the perpetrator and have a discussion with the teacher about what was occurring in the school. And then very few students use cognitive strategies for kind of thinking about the event, processing it, trying to have a deeper meaning. Very few students did that. And we figured that being involved in cognitive was the way that it was. It takes a long time to be able to process these deeply challenging situations. Like some adults, full-grown adults don't even do it. So we figured developmentally, when we're talking about someone trying to do this in high school, that it was very rare cognitive maturity to be Let me give you some examples of what these strategies that we have for avoidance. And in this case, this person is avoid discrimination by assimilating, by trying to fit in. Specifically, I'll make a point to you. I learned like high school and middle school how to cope. I think we all have our code switching before and some so it's like I've learned how to act appropriately. You know, like white people, and you know, it's just I don't know. I don't really know. It's just different. But I know how to, So the summary of this person is trying to flee from discrimination by acting in a them as not being a target. That will help them not be targeted by their peers, or by folks in society. I'll have you say yes, hopefully you can be a people, but it's almost like writing math when you enter a space and you can imagine that being an actor on top of trying to be a student, that's double work of maybe a student who can just objectively be themselves. So I just encourage you to think about that as a student of super stress, especially with everything going along in our world in terms of our socio-political climate, if they're having on top of all of that, that's why they might be irritable, tired, frustrated, going back to that fatigue that I mentioned. What about the strategy? Again, this is when they're trying to advocate for themselves, trying to address issues as best they can directly. So this person says, I had some trouble with the students of another grade. So a girl told me that my hair looks like, I look like a clown with an apple, with the apple. And then this was the direct strategy. I was like, you can't say that. That's racist. You know, like racist. But in response to that, you see that the perpetrator didn't. And what we found is that was a common strategy response to direct strategies for these students that we interviewed, where students tried to advocate for themselves and fight back against peers, teachers. They remember that very lukewarm response. And then what we ended up realizing is that's when their strategy has to actually shift to avoidance. Where if I'm trying to advocate for myself, and it seems like nobody cares, I have to basically set settings. Again, I encourage you to think about it. Is the student avoiding a class or avoiding something because they don't care? Or is it because they're trying to advocate in class or occurred? And now this I think that's important. And lastly, this is a cognitive strategy. Again, very rare with this age group and population. But this person was really starting to accept their identity. That I accept that. And there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, and in black. No matter what I do, I will be black. Just to give you a little bit of this young tried initially in school to assimilate to what she thought was wanted of her, to the point where she didn't even wear her Muslim religious attire because students were teasing her. And over time, she mentioned about how she's been accepted. I am who I am. Be negatively for that. That's them and that's not me. That shows a level of cognitive maturity or progression that not every student can study. So we talked about some of the discrimination. Now I'm going to talk about some of those long-term consequences that people brought up in response to discrimination. We thought this was a good example of mental fatigue and emotional fatigue. Let's say say instead of like just playing chess, you have to like play checkers on the side, like Monopoly and tic-tac-toe. Instead of just focusing on living your life to the best, you also have to think about races. It's a thing like systematic that like a lot of these different things are played at the same time while you're just trying to work on yourself. And like the people who don't have to deal with that racism or like all of that, they have less mental baggage to work with. Like they're just playing chess. So to kind of break it down, we thought this was a great example of kind of mental exhaustion. Break it down, you know, if you're not dealing with oppression, racial oppression, it's almost like just bettering yourself, doing your job, going to school, whatever it might be. But if you have to deal with racism, and again, dealing with discrimination, all this. You're not just playing on that one thing. Focus on that, plus other elements of oppression that you have to be and he's talking about how that mental baggage, something that stays until you're able and since it's staying with you, you're thinking that that'll be this idea of being racism for some of the other students that we interviewed talked about hope. A lot of them did kind of feel like, you know, there's nothing that we can do. Some of them said there's something we can do about it. They're talking about addressing racism. Really try. It's never really helping the cause. It's really making it. So this student transfer. He felt as if he was trying to advocate. It wasn't making any difference. If anything, it might be causing more retaliation from society. Directed. A lot of students that we spoke to had this response, and I think it goes back to the idea. Some of them try to advocate for themselves, have been met with negativity. So it kind of makes sense as to why you might feel hopeless if you try to advocate and have a positive response. And then the last one that I want to highlight today in terms of that avoidance. This is different than the avoidance I mentioned before. Became more chronic avoiders. Even while in college, they would say, you know, in high school, I experienced discrimination. I avoided classes because of what I faced. I'm still avoiding now. Setting. This student kind of exemplifies some of that habitual avoidance as well. She even uses the word have become like a habit. Somehow teachers think I don't understand because I don't speak. So the student became quiet in class. Like I'm not there. I don't get to be there. So it becomes like a habit, like it just happened. Like even failing the whole year. So this was a young girl who experienced discrimination. She was particularly targeted because of race. She would present in class, students would make her say that again, joke about the way she sounded, and what ended up happening was she just decided not to have the class in high school. She ended up in these classes as an adult, and even in college, she would say, avoiding certain spaces because I fear. So it's important to keep in mind as well, some of these students are not doing other commitments. They're not again, or the reminder about our systems impacting students talked about again things that they say that affected them to get their this is a prime example. It's weird that just continue on with your life. Like when there's an instance of like police brutality, it's surprising that people are expected to move on with their lives without dealing with that as well. You're just expected to bounce back. Like a lot of that is really fatiguing. So this student in particular, I remember reading their transcript. And they talked about how it's important for schools to really integrate these social issues like police brutality into the curriculum, because it's really disingenuous to that lived experience for our students to basically expect them to come into school and pretend that society is a safe space for them, and it actually might not, right? So we see a lot of statements like this, and we were actually doing a follow-up study on whether or not should be integrating the social justice issues into their curriculum, particularly because more than one student that this social kind of stuff is really affecting their well-being in schools. Right, so kind of to summarize everything, we did see to some respects experience different racial characteristics, comparing the current framework that Smith has for college students and adults. The second point, just to reiterate, on peer discrimination, as you saw, at least in our sample, it happened almost as frequently as school personnel related discrimination. And it's tied to students' racism-related experience. And again, we need to refine ourselves, but we need to encourage our students to work on themselves as well. The third point is super important. Avoided coping is not necessarily maladaptive or unhealthy, right? So when we see a student again, we might get report or they haven't come to class for the past 5 classes. Before we think automatically, does this student care about the class? Do they actually want to learn? Let's think about why they're not showing up first. And maybe it's something that was said by a peer, maybe it was something that we even said, didn't realize that making it feel like a safe classroom. I don't even want to go back. Sometimes because they are unlearning or necessarily a healthy thing. It could be. And then lastly, because of the social issues that were brought up, we do obviously need to figure out how we're going to reduce discrimination, but how are we advocating to address it at a broader society? Because frankly, if our university is but what if they leave the grounds of the university and community? To me, that's almost like we're in a big part of the battle. If we don't have the safe for students. Questions, if you have any questions.
It is just about 1 o'clock, so we've got time for 1 or 2 questions.
Thank you, Jeremy. And very interesting stuff. I have a question, and it's this. And I don't mean to, by this question, I don't mean to suggest that microaggression isn't real. I don't myself like the term microaggression because, as you said, it doesn't have to be intentional, and therefore the aggression part is kind of questionable. But it's this, in your research, do you consider the possibility that what's reported as a microaggression might not? That, in other words, and I'll give you an example. You had one example, for instance, where are you from? Now, I've been asked that question 1,000 times. I've never seen it as a microaggression. And I've asked, every time I meet a new student, I ask them where they're from. And if I meet someone with a pronounced foreign accent, I'll ask them where they're from. I'm curious. It's not, I just don't consider it offensive at all. I can imagine how it could be in a certain context, expressed in a certain way. But I wonder, in your research, do you sort of vet the reports of microaggression and then say, well, this one is one and this one isn't?
Question. So again, we go back. So I mentioned the point about the previous literature we've read from. See if I can go back to that. So work, and they really did an analysis of all these studies to see, if somebody experiences racism and discrimination, what exactly are they reporting when they say it's a microaggression, like what's the characteristics of it, and they developed a pretty extensive taxonomy to say these are all the different types of microaggressions folks commonly report within their lived experience, and we use that as a baseline. Or as a litmus test, I guess you could say too, to determine what they're saying, same traditional microaggression, we know microaggressions or is it not? And I will say it's a fine line because again, if I say something but they perceive that I have, that element of perceived harm is really important in acknowledging that it is a microaggression. I think that we tend to have like a divide on. You have to see, does the victim feel like he's committed? And if so, that's the key marker that says we might request that we need to make. Then that comes to you reiterating, trying to get that. It's a tricky situation for sure, and there are a lot of folks that will say microaggression doesn't exist or that's given, but once we start to say that it's them misinterpreting it, and mind you, some folks will quote unquote misinterpret it because they experience. If you say that they're misinterpreting from across as then that can be invalidating their experience. And the fact that even if you weren't trying to commit, if that person feels like you did, that's a more important part. And making it less about me to be defensive because I don't want to see myself committed anymore. No, it's I want to make sure that you feel like and trying to make sure that they do.
Then join me again, please, in the penultimate speaker of the season. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.